Welcome to the NexWave manufacturing demo. In this demonstration, we will highlight the features available in the make-to-order process. We will start by looking at the bill of materials function within manufacturing. As you will see from the workspace, you can either select the bill of materials option off the menu or use the shortcuts defined for you. Opening the list of bill of materials shows if they are active and also what the total cost is for each line. Clicking on an individual line will display the detail. Within the Production Item tab, you can record the item you intend to produce, the unit of measure used for the bill of material, and the quantity produced. Further down the screen, you will see the raw materials that are required to produce the finished item, along with the quantity and cost for each component. The Operations tab outlines the operations and routing used to produce the finished product. For each operation, you can assign a default workstation type for the completion of the operation. In addition, against each operation, you can record the expected time to complete the task and the operating costs associated. You can also record the additional costing and expected losses in the manufacturing process. Now that we have defined the bill of materials, let's look at how we can use this within our make-to-order process. We can start the process by entering a new sales order. We will try to sell our finished goods item, and if none are available, we should progress through the manufacturing process. Let's start by selecting the customer we wish to sell the bill of materials to. At the line, we will enter our bill of materials item, the date the customer would like the item, and of course the quantity the customer would like to purchase from us. We can now save and process the sales order. Once completed, we can then try to create the picking sheet for the finished goods item. As we see, there are not enough of the finished goods in stock. Therefore, we must manufacture more to fulfill the customer's requirements. To start the manufacturing process, we could generate a works order off the sales order. However, for this demonstration, we will look at the whole production process. If we navigate to the manufacturing workspace, you will see we have a production planning option. To add a new production plan, simply create this from the Add button at the top of the screen. Initially, you need to record where we are getting the demand from on the production plan. For this demonstration, we will use the sales orders. You can then further refine the criteria by selecting items and/or customers plus various dates. All this filters will limit the orders being selected further down the screen. We will enter the customer and bill of material item previously reviewed. As we scroll down, we can now use the Get Sales Orders button to pull through the demand that we will select for this plan. You will see the system selects our sales order and allows us to proceed with selecting the Get Finished Goods to manufacture. This then pulls through our bill of materials item. We are now ready to save and process the production plan.
Once the production plan is saved, you will see the progress bar has been created, but as yet there is no progress against the plan. You can now create the works order or orders required to complete the full production plan. You could choose to create these from the Create button or the plus button next to the work order connection. The system will generate the works order and advise you of the works order number. To view the record, simply click through the message. You can now see the details on the works order, namely, the items to be produced, the raw material required, and the quantities of required. You need to double-check everything is correct on the works order, including if the workstations have been defined for the production. The workstations can be recorded against the tasks within the Operations tab. Having double-checked everything on the works order, you are now ready to release the transaction into the manufacturing process. You will see the system generates the job cards required to complete each operation in the manufacturing process. You can also start the overall works order so that accurate production statistics can be produced. The system requires you to confirm the number of items to be produced as part of the production, as you may decide to break down production into smaller production run amounts. Note the maximum number is the total amount on the order. As you have started the process, the system automatically directs you to the stock movement record. This is to allow you to move the raw materials from your main warehouse into the work in progress location. Once you complete the stock transfer, you will see the movement is confirmed. The material transfer record is now linked to the works order. To check this further, simply click through to the document. If you review the Connections tab, you will see the progress bar now shows the items in progress, but is still showing the operations are yet to commence. There are also links to the stock movement and job cards under the Transactions workspace area. You can navigate directly to the jobs cards to see the status of each one. The default screen is the list view for only the current works order. You can change the filters if you wanted to see all jobs. You can also change the view to see the overall schedule. In this example, we will use the calendar view. However, other views are possible. The calendar view can be changed to reflect the month, week, or day. You will note some jobs span multiple days due to the time expected to complete the operation. Should you wish, you could reschedule jobs to alternative days as required. To review a job, simply click into the operation. If the work is to commence, simply click the Start button and the system will start the timer. Jobs can also be assigned to employees as well as operations, but for this task we will leave this blank. Note the timer is running and the time record created. Completing the job stops the timer and closes the time record. You will see the user still needs to complete the job before moving to the next job. This time we will allocate an employee to the job to add additional details. The process is exactly the same as before, but you select the employee. This time we will allocate an employee to the job to add additional details. The process is exactly the same as before, but you select the employee. You will note the time record on the job also reflects the employee that completed this task. Some NexWave customers prefer to complete this stage with a clock in clock out application on the shop floor. To find out about this option, feel free to contact us. Now that you have completed both jobs, we are in the final stages of production. If you navigate back to the works order, you will now see the progress bar has been updated. The operations bar is showing as completed, but the item still has a final step before completion. To complete the progress, simply select the Finish button at the top. You are then prompted to record the total amount of items produced in the production. The system will then direct you to a new materials transfer record, as you now need to move the finished goods back into the main warehouse from the work in progress warehouse. Once you complete the transaction, the items are moved and the stock ledger is updated. Note the integration to the accounting modules as well. To confirm everything is completed, let's return to the original production plan. You will see the status is set to complete. Upon reviewing the plan, you will note the progress bar on the plan is also illustrating the production has completed and the items produced. You can now return to the original sales order and release the items for delivery. We hope you have enjoyed this demonstration. Feel free to contact our team to discuss your requirements further.